Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Curse of the Wymer Stones. This game supports 2 to 5 players. It's for ages, well, it just says teen plus, and the average play time is about 60 to 90 minutes. So this game is currently available on the Game Crafter. This video is not going to be a full playthrough, rather this is going to be a visual overview of the different components and what the game is about. I will have a review out there along with this particular video that will go into the rules a bit more in detail. But I wanted to show you what the game was like visually in case you were interested in picking this up. So this is the game board here, and this is a one versus many kind of game where players will be sort of teaming up against one villain player in order to get all of their Wymer stones, hence the name of the game, and defeat all of the cursed dwarves. The villain, on the other hand, will be trying to eliminate all of the players by turning them into wraiths and then possibly removing them from the game permanently. So I'll just quickly show you the different components and what everything is. The board is broken up into many different squares. These purple areas are portals. They allow players to fast travel from one place to a next. They cannot move through walls, but that's what the portals are for. They'll help them move around the board a little bit faster. And during game setup, each player will receive a character along with a character card, and it'll be of the matching color. There are 4 different characters in this game. You've got a ranger, a warrior, a wizard, and a paladin. And each one has different bonuses. During a player's turn, they'll be rolling a die, and if they happen to roll a number that corresponds with a bonus on their character card here, they'll take it. So the ranger's power, for example, when rolling a 1, it says unlock, choose a lock to remove. There will be different locks that will be on the board that will tie players up, but the ranger can get through them pretty easily on a 1 roll. And you can see there's some other abilities as well. The warrior, on the other hand, whenever you go to attack, you'll get to add a +1 or a +2 or even a +3 to your attack roll should you have the warrior and happen to roll their power. On the bottom of these character cards are damage taken. It's like a health track. When a character reaches 3 damage, they turn into a wraith, and they're going to try and get back to their home space before they are defeated again as a wraith. And if they manage to do that, they sort of respawn as a human again. But it's kind of cool. I like that while there is player elimination in this game, at least there's a second chance. You turn into a wraith, you try to get back to your starting square, which is the square of your matching color, and that turns you from a wraith back into a human again. And wraiths can even jump across chasms, they can go through walls. It's kind of cool. But of course, the dwarves don't care. They'll do the same thing and try and hunt you down, assuming they're on the board. Getting back to player powers, the paladin can heal other players of any damage that they've taken. And the wizard, I think we skipped over the wizard. They can teleport, and you can also add +3 to ally or your own attack roll. So I love that. I love that there's different character cards and different abilities on them, and there's also a different amount of movement that they typically move during the game. So the rangers can move the farthest, while the wizards, they take a little longer to move around the board, but they have that one teleport ability as well, which is kind of nice. So I did mention cursed dwarves. These do not come out onto the board right away. As the name implies, the Curse of the Wymer Stones, the players will be going around the board trying to uncover tiles. At the beginning of the game, there's going to be a bunch of these little question marks scattered around the board, and the number that you use will be determined by your chosen difficulty. And the players will be sort of moving around the board, revealing these question marks, and depending on what they reveal, different things will happen. So it's like a dungeon delve with some discovery. If they happen to discover one of these swords, ignore the soot. This game includes laser cut components. It's a pet peeve of mine when that happens, because I end up getting soot all over my hands. But anyway, if they happen to draw a relic, which is this little sword-looking thing, they're going to take a card from here, and they each have different abilities. A player can have up to 2 relics. If they get a third one, I think they have to discard down to 2 again. But, you know, this says remove any trap, Add +3 to your attack. The art on this game is incredible. Flip over any tile. Mage Stone, add 2 to your attack. Different things like that. So these will help players modify dice rolls and break the game rules in various ways. These are good cards. You want to find these relics as you're searching this dungeon. Sometimes, though, you may come across a trap as you're looking around, and that's what these cards are. And cards like these typically have two sides to them, a good side or a down. You're going to roll a die, and depending on your die roll, you will either do the positive effect or the negative effect. And all of these traps kind of have something similar. There are some nasty ones in here that may kill you outright if you roll badly. I don't know how I feel about that. There's a bit of RNG in there, but if you happen to draw one of these red ones, you better roll well. It could be a really bad time for you if you don't. When you do become a Wraith, I kind of hinted at that earlier, if a player does become a Wraith, rather than just sort of move around the board, they're going to draw one of these cards and they will follow the directions on here. And sometimes that will be good, sometimes it'll be bad, it all depends. But I love that there's like something that you can do while you're trying to get back home to revive yourself. So yeah, that's the gameplay flow. Players will be moving their standees around the board, trying to uncover these tiles, hopefully not coming across these traps, but hopefully coming across these relics. Their ultimate goal is to come across their Wymer stones. You're going to put a number of these into the array here based on who's playing. So if blue and yellow are playing, these two would be scattered somewhere on the board, and players will be trying to find them. The heroes will be trying to find their specific Wymer stone, and that allows them to attack these dwarves. Now, I keep mentioning the cursed dwarves. When do they come out? What happens? They don't start on the board right away. When a player finds their Wymer stone and adds it to their character card, one of these will come out onto the matching player space. So if blue happens to find their Wymer stone as they're looking around the dungeon, this cursed dwarf will come out and spawn on their starting spot. The heroes will be trying to get their Wymer stones and defeat all of the cursed dwarves in the game. In a 2-player game, there's going to be 2 cursed dwarves for the most part. 4-player game, 4 cursed dwarves and the like. So that is the goal of the heroes. They're going to try and find their Wymer stones, defeat all the cursed dwarves, and if they do that, they win the game. Each of the cursed dwarves have different movement here, and some of them have different, like this one's rather nasty. It can move 5 steps and has 3 health associated with it. So yeah, depending on the dwarves that you get, you'll have different health. You're trying to defeat these. You cannot attack a cursed dwarf, however, if you do not have a Wymer stone. So it's possible that blue reveals, gets their Wymer stone and reveals the cursed dwarf, and then yellow cannot attack it because they haven't found their Wymer stone yet. So that's the goal of the heroes. Find their Wymer stone, defeat the cursed dwarves. And again, the cursed dwarves will be able to attack the heroes as well in order to eliminate them, get them to become wraiths, and then attack them again when they're wraiths to eliminate them from the game. Combat in this game is fairly simple. All of it is dice rolls. Whether the player is attacking a dwarf or the dwarf is attacking the character, or if a player is trying to break through a lock that is like in the middle of their path. So if this lock was here and the player wanted to get through it, there would have to be an attack roll. The 2 dice are rolled. One is the player's and one is the enemy, I guess. The enemy always wins in a tie. So if it's a lock you're trying to break and you both roll 3s, 3 and 3, then the lock wins and nothing happens. You have to try and attack it again at some point in order to get through it. So that is the gist of the game. Again, this was just sort of like a high-level overview to show you what the different components were like. Here's a quick look at the Wraith there, which is kind of cool. The rulebook is very beautiful. I'm very happy with it. Very colorful. It does a very good job at illustrating all the different things that you can do in this game. There is a co-op mode. I will say that. While the base game is a 1 versus many, where one player is the villain and the other players are the heroes, you can decide to play without a villain in the co-op version of the game. In that version of the game, all of the tokens are sort of placed out already. So like typically during the game, the villain will be able to add these to the board to slow up players even more. Whereas in the co-op version of the game, all of these are out all at once, and the cursed dwarves will be stationary. So they don't move around, and the players still have to try and find their Wymer stones and defeat the cursed dwarves in order to win the game. But because there's going to be more tokens out here on the board initially, if they happen to come across traps that kill them, then, well, it's a it's a bad time. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, that is a quick high-level overview of Curse of the Wymer Stones. Again, the game is available on GameCrafter. Should you want to check it out for yourself, I'll put a link in the below description. I'll also include a link to my written review, which goes over the rules a bit more in detail. All right, well, this is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Take care.